online articles about me surfaced on the internet. People began sending me emails and PMs on Facebook asking, how does it feel to travel? How did you manage to visit all 81 provinces at such young age? Were you not afraid of kidnappings? Which province did you like most? Every single time, these are the questions people ask me. And I mean, seriously, these questions are not easy to answer. But then one day, there came a more difficult question. This time from a school magazine, it said, how do you define traveling in one sentence? I was like, whoa, really? Just one sentence? That time, I thought it was even harder than my calculus exam in college. But then, of course, I managed to formulate a sentence. It sounded pretty accurate. But still in the end, I realized that it did not really make sense. For me, traveling is a very broad concept, and I think no one will be ever good enough to explain it in just a single sentence. But perhaps a couple of minutes would do. So this morning, I'd like to share with you what the word travel really means to me. But before we go to that, let me tell you how the past few years helped me arrive to this definition. That is a photo of me with some random people riding on my back. Then I used to have these big eyes and long white hair. No, I'm just kidding. I'm that skinny boy wearing a white shirt, and that girl behind me is my cousin. It was the first trip in my life that I really enjoyed. I was amazed by Baguio's cold weather, although back then I did not like the taste of strawberries. During school breaks, my family would visit our relatives in Pampanga. And every time we're riding the bus, I feel this great amount of excitement. My mama and siblings would all be sleeping in the bus, but I'm awake the whole time, watching places and people from the bus window. Then came the fourth year of high school. It was time to decide which college course to take. Browsing the list of available science courses in the university I'm applying for, I eagerly chose the one that has the most number of field trips. Yep, field trips. And so I ended up taking geology. Lucky enough, it turned out to be one of the greatest decisions I had in life, choosing a path that perfectly blends my interests, science and traveling. And so during that 4 years in the university, our classes went outside the campus for fieldworks, mapping rivers, mountains, plains, roads, all across Luzon. However, it seemed that we're not going to Palawan. And during that time, Palawan was my ultimate dream destination. I was so curious about Palawan that I read many different travel blogs, browsed the islands through Google Earth, and watched countless YouTube videos all about Palawan. Then one day, during my third year in college, I found this very cheap plane ticket to Puerto Princesa. It was actually so cheap that I could afford it. And so, a few months later, I went to my first ever solo backpacking trip in the islands of El Nido. That happened in the summer of 2011. I just turned 19 that time. Nobody believed that an average student like me could do it. Booking my own plane ticket, hotel, van pickup, island hopping tours, everything I had to do myself. And so this realization came to me that doing a solo trip can actually be done, even at a young age. In fact, I got so amazed by the idea that when my fourth year in the university began, I wanted to go on a solo trip again. Yet there was a problem. Of course, there will always be a problem. Where to get the money? My allowance is just enough for my daily needs in school, and my family is not well off and they could not afford to send me more money just for me to satisfy this passion for traveling. Fortunately, there came an opportunity for me to work as a part-time academic tutor from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Then another job opportunity as a laboratory assistant, cleaning reagent bottles and preparing chemical samples. And another job opportunity as a library assistant, organizing books in the shelves and occasionally cleaning computers in the library. Although working while studying was a challenge, at least by that time, I already earned the money to buy not just one, but many plane tickets. So during long weekends and sem breaks, I visited some of the provinces in the Visayas. Then in October 2011, I went on a solo trip to Tawi-Tawi, a conflict-stricken place according to the media. Kidnappings, terrorism, etc., etc. But then I met these people, Kuya Ben, the women of Simonol Island in Tawi-Tawi, my new friends, Kuya Rap, Kuya RD, and Doc Jams. These people, they toured me around the beautiful sites of their province for free. Yes, for free. And on our way back to the capital town of Bungao, after a day of island hopping, we saw this very beautiful sunset. It was so beautiful that day I deeply fell in love with solo traveling, seeing beautiful places and meeting wonderful people. After graduation and passing the board exam in 2012, trips became even more challenging. It was the time that I dared myself to visit all 81 provinces of the Philippines, exploring islands which did not have information on Google. So it took long boat rides lasting for 7 hours on deadly rough seas. Lucky enough, I was not alone with a tiger, but I'm with a good bunch of people, and I'd like to thank some of them. The fisherman couple from Balabac, Palawan, Ate Mary Ann and Kuya Leo, a group of fishermen from Claveria, Cagayan, and another group of fishermen, this time Ivatan fishermen from Itbayat, Batanes. And you know, there are still thousands of people who helped me get through this journey. And I'd like to thank all of them, because if not for them, it would be impossible for me to reach some of our country's far away, but extremely, extremely beautiful islands, such as Bugsok Island in Balabac, Palawan, Mavulis Island in Batanes, the northernmost island of the Philippines, the last island before Taiwan, Calayan Island in the Babuyan group of islands, and Saluwag Island, the southernmost island of the Philippines in Tawi-Tawi. So, traveling. If you look at in the dictionary as a noun, it means the act of going from one place to another. And as a verb, strictly it just means to change location. Walking, riding a tricycle, taking the bus, plane, train, all sorts of transportation one can think of. But many years of traveling made me realize how the word travel is so loosely defined. Yes, it means to move from one place to another in a certain amount of time. But what happens in between? We see places, meet people, and learn new things even from a random passenger in the bus. A few weeks before this talk, an idea came to my mind. Why not make travel an acronym rather than just a word with a finite meaning? T for the word travel itself. To change location by means of walking, running, riding a carabao, etc., etc. R for respect, which for me is a very crucial component of traveling. Respect for religious and cultural differences. Respect for the jeepney driver, for the flight attendant. Respect for fellow passengers. In traveling, we don't know exactly what lies ahead of us. Sure, we'll have an idea which places we're going to visit, but we don't have control over the type of people we're going to meet. If we're not able to respect each other and value our differences, travel will not go as smoothly as one might want it to be. I think there are two things that we want to avoid when traveling: judging and generalizing. After exercising respect, then comes letter A. Appreciate. Appreciating the differences among people, appreciating their beliefs, their way of life. And for most travelers who come for sightseeing, appreciating the beauty of the city, of nature, of the mountains and the seas. In life, there are plenty of things that we often take for granted. And most of the time, traveling will open us to a ton of these striking realizations. One will learn to value even the simplest food after a long day of hiking. The kindness of a Bajau family in Sulu for letting you join their boat. It teaches us to appreciate this small bed with mosquito net after nights sleeping on the grass and getting bitten by insects. Traveling is a way to know the truth about a place, a group of people, or a certain individual. So V stands for verify. Did the media depict the place as a war zone and that families are dying from hunger because of poverty? We go there to see if it's true. Is the island really that beautiful as how a friend described it to be? We go there and check it out ourselves. E is for engage. Traveling allows us to engage in new experiences. For example, riding a zip line, parasailing, taking this kind of hot water bath, scuba diving. It also means to engage in conversations with random people. Listen to their stories, tell them your own stories, and later on make friends with them. And maybe if you sound convincing enough, they may even invite you for dinner. Then the letter L. To travel is to live. It's not something that only the rich could afford or only those who work in the travel industry could enjoy. All of us here are travelers. Students travel to school. Employees travel to work. We travel to the grocery store to purchase supplies. Traveling is an important element of our day-to-day life, and it's something that none of us can live without. So that's what travel really means to me. More than just to change location, it also means to exercise respect, to appreciate. We do it to find the truth about places and people, engaging ourselves with the surrounding. And it's conventional. It's something that we do to survive every day. A while ago, I mentioned that each one of us here is a traveler. That's right. And I'm no better traveler than any of you. And that guy who's been to more than 100 countries is also not exactly a better traveler than any of us. For me, traveling is not just about counting places. I may have been to all the provinces in the country, but what really matters here is how we develop respect and appreciation. Do we have the urge to seek the truth, the willingness to engage in new ideas? The moment we're able to harness, that's the only time we become better travelers. Thank you all for listening and have a good day.